My name is Jake, and I'm about to tell you the most uncomfortable story of my professional life. What happened between me and my boss Victoria in that empty office still makes my heart race when I think about it. But I promise you, this story isn't what you're expecting. I'd been working at Henderson and Associates, a mid-sized marketing firm, for about 8 months when this incident occurred. My boss, Victoria Chen, was a force of nature. She was in her early 40s, sharp as a knife, and had a reputation for being incredibly demanding but fair. She'd built her career from the ground up and expected nothing less than excellence from her team. I respected her immensely, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intimidated. Victoria had this intensity about her that made you want to perform at your absolute best. She rarely smiled, rarely engaged in small talk, and kept her personal life completely separate from work. In 8 months, I'd learned virtually nothing about her outside the office. Our relationship was purely professional. She'd give me assignments, I'd complete them, she'd critique them with brutal honesty, and I'd improve. That was it. No friendly chats by the water cooler, no casual coffee breaks, just work. Then came that Friday in late October. It had been a brutal week. We were preparing a major pitch for a potential client worth millions to the firm, and everyone was working overtime. By Friday evening, most of the office had cleared out. People were exhausted and ready for the weekend. I was packing up my things around PM when Victoria appeared at my cubicle. "Jake, I need you to stay late tonight," she said. It wasn't a request. "Of course," I replied, setting my bag back down. "What do you need?" "Come to my office in 10 minutes. And close the door behind you when you come in." My stomach dropped. Close the door? That was unusual. Victoria always kept her door open during one-on-one meetings. It was part of her management-style transparency, she called it. The only time doors closed was for disciplinary meetings or serious discussions. Had I done something wrong? I mentally reviewed the past week's work. The presentation slides I'd prepared were solid. The market research was thorough. I'd met every deadline. What could this be about? Those 10 minutes felt like an eternity. I watched the last few colleagues pack up and leave, waving goodbye. Soon, the entire floor was empty except for Victoria and me. The silence was deafening, broken only by the hum of the air conditioning and the distant sound of the cleaning crew working on the lower floor. I walked to Victoria's office, my heart pounding. Through the glass walls, I could see her at her desk, reviewing something on her computer. Her expression was unreadable. I knocked softly. "Come in." "Close the door," she said without looking up. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. The click of the latch sounded unnaturally loud in the quiet office. Victoria continued typing for what felt like another minute before finally turning to face me. "Sit down, Jake." I sat in the chair across from her desk, trying to keep my hands from shaking. This felt wrong. Everything about this situation felt wrong. Victoria stood up and walked around her desk. Instead of sitting in her chair or leaning against the desk like she usually did during our meetings, she remained standing. She was looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Concern? Anger? Something else? "Jake, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me," she began. "Of course," I managed to say, though my mouth had gone dry. "How long have you been working here?" 8 months. "And in those 8 months, have I ever given you reason to doubt my professionalism?" "No, absolutely not. You've been nothing but professional." She nodded slowly. "Good, because what I'm about to do might seem unprofessional, but I need you to trust me." "Can you do that?" Every alarm bell in my head was going off. What was happening? Was this some kind of test? I nodded, unable to form words. Victoria took a step closer to me. Then another. She was now standing directly in front of my chair, closer than she'd ever been during any of our previous interactions. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might explode. "I need you to stay absolutely still," she said quietly. "Don't move. Don't make a sound." Then she reached out and grabbed me. Her hands went straight to my shoulders, gripping them firmly. I froze, my mind completely blank with shock and confusion. What was happening? This couldn't be happening. My boss was touching me, holding me, in an empty office with the door closed. But then I noticed something. Victoria wasn't looking at me. She was looking past me, through the glass wall of her office, toward the main office area. Her grip on my shoulders tightened, and she positioned herself slightly in front of me, as if shielding me. "Don't turn around," she whispered. "There's someone in the office who shouldn't be here." My blood ran cold. Someone else was here? I hadn't heard anyone come in. The floor had been empty when I walked to Victoria's office. I saw him on the security camera feed. Victoria continued in a barely audible whisper, her hand still on my shoulders. "He came up through the stairwell about 3 minutes ago. I recognized him from the incident report I received yesterday. He's been fired from the company, and security flagged him as potentially dangerous. He made threats. I wanted to turn around so badly, but I followed her instructions and kept still." My mind was reeling. A fired employee? Potentially dangerous? And Victoria had seen him on her computer. That's what she'd been looking at when I came in. "I've already triggered the silent alarm," she whispered. "Security is on their way, but they're coming from the main building across the street. It'll take them a few minutes. I need him to think we're just having a normal meeting. If he realizes I've seen him, or if he knows security is coming, he might do something rash." That's when I understood. Victoria wasn't being inappropriate. She wasn't crossing any lines. She was protecting me. By positioning herself between me and the door, by holding on to me, she was both keeping me calm and putting herself in harm's way if this person tried to enter her office. "He's moving," she whispered. "He's going through the desks, looking for something." My entire body was tense. I could hear it now, the faint sounds of drawers opening and closing, papers rustling. How had I not noticed before? I'd been so focused on Victoria, so confused by the situation, that I'd completely missed the sounds of someone searching the office. Victoria's grip on my shoulders remained firm but not painful. She was watching the intruder's every move through the glass walls, her body language casual to anyone who might look our way. But I could feel the tension radiating from her. "He's getting agitated," she whispered. "He can't find whatever he's looking for." The sounds were getting louder, more aggressive. Something crashed, a desk lamp maybe. Then another crash. He was destroying things now, venting his frustration. "Victoria," I whispered back. "Maybe we should stay still," she interrupted firmly. "Security will be here any second. If we move now, if we draw attention to ourselves, he might come in here." "The door isn't locked." My heart sank. The door wasn't locked. We were sitting ducks if this person decided to confront us. And Victoria knew it. That's why she was standing the way she was, ready to push me behind her desk if necessary, ready to be the first line of defense. I'd never felt so helpless in my life. Here was my boss, a woman who barely came up to my shoulder in height, preparing to protect me from a potential threat. Every instinct told me it should be the other way around, but Victoria's tactical positioning and calm demeanor made it clear she'd thought this through. "He's at Jennifer's desk now," Victoria whispered. Jennifer was our HR manager. Her desk was only about 30 feet from Victoria's office. "That's probably where he thinks his termination papers are." More crashing sounds. The intruder was tearing Jennifer's desk apart. I could hear muttered curses now, angry and incoherent. Then finally, the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. The ding of the elevator arriving on our floor. "Security," Victoria breathed, relief evident in her voice for the first time, but the intruder heard it too. The crashing stopped. There was a moment of absolute silence, and then the sound of running footsteps away from us, toward the stairwell. Victoria finally released my shoulders and moved to her door, opening it. "He's heading to the stairs," she called out to the security team that had just emerged from the elevator. 2 security guards rushed past us toward the stairwell. A third stayed with us, asking if we were okay, if the intruder had threatened us directly. Victoria calmly explained what had happened, how she'd seen him on the security feed and kept us both safe while waiting for help to arrive. The police arrived 10 minutes later. The intruder, a former account manager named Derek who'd been fired for embezzling company funds, was caught 2 floors down. He'd been looking for documents he thought might incriminate him, hoping to destroy them before his court date. After giving our statements to the police, Victoria and I were finally alone in her office again. The adrenaline was wearing off, and I was starting to shake. Jake, I'm sorry I couldn't explain what was happening, Victoria said, her professional composure cracking slightly. I was watching the security feed when I called you in, and I saw him enter through the stairwell. I knew if I let you leave, you might walk right into him. I thought the safest thing was to keep you here, with me, where I could see him and wait for security. You grabbed me to keep me calm, I said, understanding finally clicking into place. And to position yourself between me and the door, she nodded. I know it was unconventional, and I know how it might have looked or felt. But I needed you to stay still and quiet, and I needed to be ready to react if he came toward this office. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I let out a shaky laugh. Victoria, you potentially saved my life tonight, or at least saved me from a very dangerous situation. You put yourself at risk to protect me. I'm not uncomfortable, I'm grateful. For the first time since I'd started working for her, Victoria smiled. Really smiled. You did well. You trusted me even though you had no idea what was happening. That takes courage, or stupidity. I joked weakly. Courage, she insisted. Now, I'm calling you a car to get home safely, and you're taking Monday off. Paid. Consider it hazard pay. That night, lying in bed at home, I kept replaying the scene in my head. My boss grabbing me in an empty office. It sounded so scandalous, so inappropriate. But the reality was something entirely different, an act of protection, of leadership, of someone taking responsibility for their employees' safety. The following Monday, despite Victoria's insistence that I take the day off, I came into work. The office was buzzing with news of what had happened. Derek had been formally charged with multiple crimes, including trespassing and attempted destruction of evidence, and hence security measures were being implemented. Victoria called a team meeting that afternoon. She addressed the incident directly, praising the security team's quick response and reminding everyone about safety protocols. She didn't mention the specific details of how she'd kept me safe in her office that night. That remained between us. But something had shifted in our professional relationship. Victoria was still demanding, still intense, still maintained clear boundaries. But there was an understanding now, a mutual respect that went deeper than just boss and employee. She'd shown me that her tough exterior concealed someone who genuinely cared about her team's well-being. A few weeks later, during our annual performance review, Victoria brought up that night one more time. I've been thinking about what happened, she said, about how I handled it. I wanted to ask, did I do the right thing? Should I have told you immediately what was happening? Should I have let you leave? I considered her questions carefully. If you'd told me there was a dangerous person in the office, I might have panicked. I might have made noise or sudden movements that would have drawn his attention. And if you'd let me leave, I definitely would have walked right into him. You made the hard choice. You took control of a dangerous situation with limited options and kept us both safe. Yes, you did the right thing, she nodded, seeming satisfied with my answer. Good, because I'd do it again in a heartbeat if I needed to. Protecting my team isn't just in my job description, it's my responsibility. That's the story of how my boss grabbed me in an empty office. No scandal, no inappropriate behavior, no misconduct. Just a leader doing what leaders should do, protecting those under their care, even when it means putting themselves at risk. I still work for Victoria. She's still demanding, still expects excellence, still maintains her professional boundaries. But I now know that behind that tough exterior is someone who will literally position herself between danger and her employees. And those hands that grabbed my shoulders that night, they weren't crossing a line. They were drawing a line that said, you'll have to go through me first to hurt my team. That's the kind of boss everyone deserves, even if the story sounds completely different when you only hear the headline.